My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Our special guest today is an old friend zooming in from Kitchener, Ontario. We've got a very experienced real estate entrepreneur who started off doing deals in Canada. And once those got kind of expensive and unattractive and not cash flowing very nicely, then he set his sights on properties south of the border. And that's where he's focusing these days. So Oleg Pereslegin, welcome to the show. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too, Dave. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, my friend. We can hear that maybe you are not originally from Kitchener, Ontario. So where
is this my southern drawl?
So tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got to Canada and how you got into real estate.
So I was born in Russia, and obviously when I was pretty little still, we moved to western Ukrainian city of Chernivtsi. So for 16 years after that, I lived in Ukraine, or what at the time was the Soviet Union. So obviously it's hard to imagine with current events that used to be one country essentially. Yeah. But the fact is that that's where I grew up, that's where I was educated, and at the end of it, my mother and I decided to immigrate because the signs were clearly on the wall that the country will not last. And it was becoming harder and harder to live there. So and we decided to immigrate, which is how I ended up in Canada.
What year was that, Oleg?
It was 1989.
1989. Wow. Okay, long time ago.
Yeah, so it was quite a while ago. Yeah. Yes, at the very end of December 1989, we arrived in Ottawa. So, and after that, it was really just the probably what's to be expected from somebody born and raised in a socialist or communist country. And that the programming was to go to the university, get good grades, get a good job.
Hopefully get a good government job, I would imagine.
Good government job certainly was on the radar. Yeah. It didn't end up being that way, but nevertheless, I ended up working in the private sector. But when I was studying as an economist, I definitely had in mind to combine it with political career and maybe work in some kind of think tank with the government.
Right. Yeah. All right. So that's kind of what you did professionally. And when did real estate investing show up on your radar?
In early 2000s, I came across, as I keep hearing the story so many times on your podcast as well, that people read the book.
The Purple Book.
The Purple Book, that's right, yes. Everybody read Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant. And for somebody from a completely different world, like myself, this was a massive eye-opener to think that you don't have to just save your money, right? The money can make you money, that assets can make you money while you're asleep. Was a phenomenal discovery for me. Yeah. And definitely from that point on, I was very interested in putting these principles to work. So my wife and I started considering how we're going to do that. And we, at the time, we lived in Burlington, Ontario. We had a little bit of equity in our home, so we took a home equity line of credit and went the path that we are familiar with the most, which is education, right? So in education, at the time, there was something called Marcus Group. We took some courses with them. And then we also joined something that's probably a legend of the Canadian real estate, which is Don R. Campbell's REIN. And we definitely learned a lot of new concepts about how the market works, real estate cycle, how to use the gold mine scorecard to identify proper locations. And we started with investing in plexes. So everything from duplex to fourplex. And at the time, the situation was quite different in Ontario. We found that it was difficult because the quality of tenants was quite rough. The houses themselves were quite rough. The areas were quite rough. And so after the first few years and the first few properties that we tried and learned a lot, definitely learned a lot. And then we realized that maybe investing in nice homes in good neighborhoods is something that is a better idea because it brings better quality tenants in there, much more stable, and generally speaking, they keep property in much better regard and so forth, stay a long time, and that's what we stuck with. So, and that worked. That really was a
So
very good
did you sell
strategy.
those other properties, or did you?
Yeah, we did sell the plexus,
Yeah, and then
yes.
you bought
And then we
nicer
bought
single
nicer
family.
homes, yes, and we have them to date. We
Nice.
still have a portfolio in Kitchener. So definitely from those days to today, the appreciation was massive.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely followed that path, and that's one thing that we kind of appreciate about our educational approach, right? Is that once we understand the fundamentals of how the game is played, we stick to it. It may not be the super exciting approach, but it is the approach that delivers predictable results, and that's definitely what happened with our Canadian investments.
So at
And,
what point did you decide that it no longer made any sense in Canada and you started looking south of the border?
I would say that we started looking at it just a couple of years before the pandemic hit, because the prices were on a steep rise. And as I always approach things very analytically, I was running my performance and looking at how much rent I need to get in order to even break even with a Canadian single family home. It was becoming very clear that the mathematics don't work, right? So, and in 2019, we actually started looking more seriously at the US real estate opportunities and applied the same fundamentals approach. Which states are friendly to the landlords, where you actually can deal with the tenants who are not paying rent a lot faster than you deal with them in Ontario, right? And I think it's not a secret if I say that states of Ohio, Texas, Florida, Georgia came up. So then we kind of dug deeper. We started looking at where we can find connections, networking, right? A very important piece of real estate skill is how do you find people on the ground who are trustworthy, who are referred to you by somebody who you trust, and who are going to do a good job for you, right? We are not in there. And of course, obviously, it's particularly important when we were in a lockdown and we couldn't even travel to the US.
Very important.
And that was something that, because I work for an international bank, I ended up talking to people, different sites in the United States. It's an American organization, right? So, and that's how we ended up in Florida, right? We ended up looking at some properties in Jacksonville. We ended up purchasing in Jacksonville.
What kind of
And
properties did you purchase, Oleg?
single family home.
Same old, just so you
Same
found
old
your niche and you're sticking
niche.
to it.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
when you say a single family home, kind of describe what a typical property looks like. 3 bedroom, 2 bath idea, that sort of thing. What
Yeah,
kind of houses?
it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's a very typical standard for Ontario.
Mhm.
In Florida, in particular in Jacksonville, there are some variations of that. We did buy a 3 bedroom, 1 bath
Mhm.
home, which was in a very established area of Jacksonville, which was attracting uh, decent level customers, clients, right? Like, and these tenants work in, in offices, or
Right.
I have a tenant who is a chef, so that's the kind of tenant. So no, you're not going to get lawyers
Mhm.
necessarily, right? But you're going to have people who earn decent income and who can pay decent rent, and rent to price ratio is something that is much more much more
So what
possible.
based on your experience buying multiple properties and managing multiple properties in Canada, specifically in Kitchener, Ontario,
Mhm.
and what you're doing in Jacksonville, Florida, what are the similarities and what are the differences?
The similarities are that we still are looking for good quality tenants,
Mhm.
and take pride in providing them good quality homes,
Okay, good.
right?
Yeah.
So as far as, and that's, by the way, that's the fundamental we never deviate from, because we always treat our tenants with enormous respect,
Well, I heard you.
provide
Yeah, I
them.
heard you refer to them as clients and customers, not even
That's right.
tenants. Yeah.
That's right. And provide them the quality that they deserve,
Mhm.
and with that, we certainly get this kind of treatment back from them. Now, as far as the differences, of course, there are some differences, particularly in financing, right?
Mhm.
So obviously, when you are in the United States, you have to deal mostly with asset-based lenders. So Canadians do not have their ability to show their credit in the United States. So you're not going to be able to show your income there. Your Canadian possessions here
Don't count.
also don't matter.
Yeah.
So essentially, you are in a bit of a different Wild West, and definitely are looked upon differently. But it's a little bit more akin to how, let's say, when you buy bigger properties in Canada, apartment buildings,
Right.
and they look at the property rather than at you, so that's the sort of
So
thing you
what
have
kind
to
of
keep
loan to
in mind.
value are you getting for financing typically for a single family?
65,
65. All right,
65%.
so
Yeah.
35% down, but
Yeah,
compared to similar properties in Canada, they are way, way, way less expensive. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about the whole cross-border thing, Oleg? Have you how without getting into too much detail, how are you set up so that you're not getting double taxed as a Canadian investing in the States?
Yeah, it's absolutely very important, Dave, because there is a tax aspect and there is the asset protection,
Right.
right? And so there is something that you absolutely need to speak with the cross-border accountant
Mhm.
and a lawyer who, U.S. lawyers, I would recommend definitely U.S. lawyers who are more than willing to work with Canadians,
Mhm.
and they put together a structure that is befitting of what your specific needs are,
Mhm.
right? But most popular type is LP, so limited partnership that protects your needs while giving you, and it's basically, by the way, it's an absolute must when you go to asset based lenders. They
Mhm.
have to see an entity in place,
Yeah.
right? So whether it's LP or LLC, it's something that a cross-border accountant and a lawyer will discuss with you. But you definitely don't want to go as Oleg Pereslegin into the United States markets where they are very trigger happy. They are very
In more ways than one. Yeah.
litigious. Yeah, in more ways than one. It's a litigious society, so you definitely have to protect yourself with the proper structure.
Fantastic. Oleg, what so at this point, you started investing south of the border, you started looking at it in 2019. We're recording this October 2023. How many properties do you have in the States now? Are they all in Florida, all in Jacksonville?
No, so we have a combination. So one is in Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville, being Florida, experienced a little bit of a boom of its own with COVID. Lots of people were moving into Florida, and Jacksonville is not an exclusion. So what ended up happening is prices started shooting up. So we took a pause on Florida and pivoted into another state that's very landlord friendly, and that's Ohio.
Okay.
So we ended up buying another 3 properties in Ohio. So overall, right now we have 4 properties in the U.S.
Very nice. And are you doing property management from afar, or do you find local property managers?
We find local property managers.
How about for your properties in Canada? Do you manage those, or do you have property managers?
Yeah, I manage those myself. When we had Plexus, we absolutely could not do that, but when you have good quality homes and good quality tenants, it's not that difficult to manage themselves. But in the US, absolutely, we have a professional property management company, and that's another tip, because when the lender is assessing you, that's one of the questions: is the property professionally managed?
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
Yes.
And you like to buy nice, pretty houses in nice areas so that you're going to attract nice clients,
Yes.
tenants.
Yeah.
So typically, are you working with like turnkey housing providers, or are you buying them on the market, or what do you do to find the properties, Oleg?
In the US, what we found more practical is to find a property that requires certain level of upgrades.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And as our property manager said to us in Ohio, the key is not how old it is, but who owned it and how well they maintained it. Right. So we look at properties that don't necessarily require massive renovations, but they're just worn enough, that with some lipstick, you're going to make it look pretty, make it look more shiny and attractive to the client. And then the client is willing to pay rent that is substantial, very substantial, for the price of the house.
Nice. No, that makes a lot of sense. Oleg, my goodness, time flies when we're having fun, my friend. I'm sure there are going to be some folks who are interested in connecting with you. If they want to do that, what's the best thing for them to do?
My name is so unique that if you go on Facebook and just search Oleg Pereslegin, there is only one that's going to come up. And definitely makes it extremely easy.
Oh, well, that is fantastic. Well, hey, it's great reconnecting with you, because I think, last time we were talking, I think you had not gone down to the States yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Not yet, no.
So it's fun to see how things are progressing. Congratulations on that. And I wish you much continued success, my friend.
Thank you very much, Dave. Pleasure talking to you.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll talk to you on the next episode. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.